What up? We back. Week 7. What's good, everybody?
Yes, sir. Happy to be back, man. Episode 7. We got our first guest, man. I'm super excited, man. This is gonna be dope right here, man. Like this one of the ones, man. I couldn't wait to get back to this one for real.
Absolutely. Got our first guest. Definitely happy to have him here. Long-term friend. We definitely gonna introduce him properly, the right way. Of course, I'm your co-host Terrell.
And this is Julius.
Yep. And this episode is about flipping houses, man. Episode 7, flipping houses. Um, and before we get into it, we're gonna give out a mission statement and disclosure. We want to hit him with the statement.
Yeah, for sure. I should have had this memorized by now. It was really crazy. Inspire the Youth is
It's
a
all good.
podcast dedicated to empowering the next generation through financial literacy, wealth building, and entrepreneurship. We create a space to learn, exchange ideas, and to push financial conversations forward, equipping young people with the knowledge and mindset needed for lasting success.
Yes,
Solid.
sir. And information shared on this podcast is for educational and informational purposes only. We are not financial advisors, and nothing discussed should be taken as financial advice. Always do your own research and consult with a professional before making any financial decisions. Invest wisely and use your best judgment. All right. And without further ado, we got billionaire Burke. All right.
Yes.
Episode 7. You know what I'm saying? Zaiah Burke is in the building today, our first guest. We appreciate you coming on and
Appreciate
being our first. This is a big moment.
no, I appreciate you having me, man, for sure.
Absolutely. So we're gonna be talking about real estate investment, and Zaiah he's gonna be talking about his journey, and we just gonna have a conversation about it. Before we get into it, we're gonna talk about how we actually met. So we known each other now, man, probably about at least like probably 20. I would say at minimum 15 years, but as far
Yeah,
as knowing who each other are, we go way back about 20 years. We used to go to the same barbershop.
yeah.
Fast forward a few years later, all of us was rapping. Jules, you weren't rapping, but you was managing and facilitating.
Right.
But we were rapping, and for me, Zaya Burke put me on the biggest stage I ever been on in my life to this day.
Word,
You know what I'm
word.
saying? I can't thank you enough for that, putting us on that Nova stage. That was the highlight of my rap career, straight up.
Likewise, brother. That's
Man,
what's up,
That was
man.
hard
uh,
too. That was hard. I remember that. That was hard.
yeah, man. January 2013. I never forget it, man. I never forget it. So, thank you, brother, for that. On a personal note, that was the highlight of my rap career. I know y'all, a lot of y'all that's new to this probably didn't know I used to rap, but at one point, some people actually would consider me nice. Zaya was definitely nice. He was a lot nicer than me, and we came together. We did a show.
Yeah, it's funny, man. My a couple years ago, my son, somebody told my son about some music, and he was like, "Yo, you got a CD?" And my daughter was like, "What's a CD?" And it was just like, so yeah, that's definitely a
That's gotta be ill.
time of the past, man. But no, that's definitely how we linked. Um, and it's always been love, bro. So, I definitely appreciate you reaching out, to have me on your platform, man, for sure.
Absolutely, man. What's a CD? Is crazy.
Yeah, it's
Damn.
wild. She 8 now. This is probably 3 years ago. So it's like, damn, she really don't know what a CD is.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially at that time.
Damn, man. We old. That's crazy.
It's crazy to only know the streaming era is crazy though. Like that's really a crazy thing, man. Wow.
Yeah, man. So we gonna get into it, man, and bounce these questions back and forth and kind of go from there. So I originally saw you, I want to say at the top of the year. You did like a 90-day. I'm assuming it was a renovation or a refurb on a home, and you got it up and running. And I saw that, man. I was like, wow, like this is amazing. You know what I'm saying? This is a space that I've been wanting to get in. And as soon as I saw it, it clicked. Like I want to have a conversation with you about it. This was even before we had did the podcast and started it. But I knew right then and there I wanted to talk to you about it. So it's kind of all full circle to me. So what made you get into real estate investment?
Um, so it's funny, we just talked about rap. And you know how like you'll hear rappers say all the time, or this overnight success took 10 years or whatever. It's kind of the same. It was a 90-day flip, but 6 years of trying to figure that shit out is what made that 90-day flip successful. How I got into real estate, I was living in New York for a couple years, and I knew I was coming back, and I just wanted to have a place to put some capital, put some of my money. And so the idea of doing real estate investing was something I looked into. um, my man who's currently my mentor, Tone, which I'll obviously talk about him later. um, Hit him up and was like, "Yo, I'm trying to work, da 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 da." And it's just, on my end of it, it just never happened, right? So I just, I stayed super inconsistent with it. I dabble in
Mm,
it, then I wouldn't do it, then I try it, then I wouldn't try it. And then I had a couple friends that were into it, and I kind of just helped them invest just on the financial side, where just put up some bread, let them do everything, and then just kind of get a return. And after you do that 2 or 3 times, you kind of like, all right, let me go ahead and lock in and figure out the best way um, to make it work for me. So to double back answer the question, how I got into it was pretty much just seeing other people doing it, seeing other people being successful at it, knowing that it's something that I wanted to do. I lost my passion for performing music 26, 17. So I just, and real estate was one of those things that I always showed some kind of interest. I always wanted to be an agent. I'm still trying to be an agent, and that's kind of failing my agent test multiple
mhm.
times. Kind of made me say, let me just go ahead and get hands on with the flipping, and that's when I decided to kind of put pedal to the metal and move forward with actually the process of starting a flip.
Right. It's kind of crazy that you said that it took you to fall down a couple of times to like kind of gain your foot and then decide. And like that's what I want. That was one of my questions is like, so, when you first starting out and then you getting into a point, like what changed in your mindset or what had to change for you to like go from I'm kind of playing with it, I'm here, but I'm in the space, but I'm not really going as hard as I could. Like what would you say like created the change? Was it the adversity or like what made you want to go full throttle and just like like really decide to lock in? What changed from being not successful to like starting to see the progress and success?
The biggest thing that changed was my discipline. I got to
Mm,
a point where I had to be like, yo, you gotta lock down, and it's all about, discipline is the shortcut people be looking for. You know what I'm saying? Like discipline
Right,
is a shortcut, right? And so once I you know had that conversation with myself, like, look, people are doing it and people are being successful at it, right? I feel I'm very intelligent. I feel I'm very witty. I can converse with people. So it's like the only reason you're not doing it is because you're just not doing it. That's really the only reason. So once I took accountability for why I wasn't moving forward in it, I kind of just decided to lock in and be like, yo, now you just gotta, again, pedal to the metal, and every process you gotta go through, and no matter how you go through it, you gotta go through it. You know what I'm saying?
right,
mm.
Because a lot of times we hit the walls and be like, nah. You know what I mean? Like I've been trying to lose weight for 10 years. You know what I'm saying? It's like you get to that wall and be like, whatever. And it's the same. It was the same with that for me. Like I find a house, and then I was so slow in the process of getting everything else that I needed. By the time I got to the next step, somebody else had bought the house. So I'm like,
right.
you know what I'm saying? So now it's like, all right, let me understand that process before I try it, so that way I can just move a little faster, right? So that, I mean, that's that.
Yeah, man,
That
that's
that actually
powerful,
brings us to
man.
my
That's
next question. So before
what.
someone decides they want to get into real estate, what are some of the tools you would say they need to be successful?
Um, the first tool is discipline. Um,
Right.
you gotta have that, and you gotta have the will to, you know what I mean? Because as easy as it some people may make it seem, I'm not even gonna say they intentionally make it seem easy, but you can come across an Instagram page like, oh, that look like something cool I want to do. It's a lot going into that lifestyle that they live in or the work that they're doing that you aren't seeing, right?
Right.
Um, so I'll say discipline is definitely one of the tool. And for me personally, despite what you see on some of these, I done been to YouTube college. I done studied every video page you can think of. They say, hey, you don't need your own money. Is it possible to be successful in that with a flip without having your own out of pocket expense? Yeah, it's very possible. The likelihood of it is very slim. So I say the main tool is having some reserves, like having some cash that you can invest. And for some people, you know, I don't mind sharing. My first flip, because it was my first time dealing with this lender, they needed 28 grand, right? Up front. A lot of people, that's not just there.
Yeah.
So what I tell, hey, you might have to get three or four partners, three or four of the homies. Like, look, let's put this, and then bam, you joint venture that particular project. So the main tool would be funds. And again, that's my opinion. You're gonna see videos and read stuff that say, hey, you don't need any out of pocket expense. Have that money just in case. Cause or credit, money or credit, right? It helps if you got both, right? But you
Yeah.
definitely want to have one or the other, um, because if you have the credit, if somebody else has the money, there you go. That can be a perfect partnership, right? Um, and as far as tools, a mentor. I'm a firm believer in paying people for what they're good at. You know,
That's
having a
good.
mentor definitely made the process, I don't want to use the word easier because nothing about it was easy in reality, but it made the process calmer. You know what I mean? It made you had somebody that, hey, if you come across something and you need to ask a question, that person's there, or you just following them, like being hands on with a person. Like I said, I watch every YouTube video you can possibly imagine on how to get into flipping houses, and it's just like it's draining. But so having a mentor was very helpful because hey, this person shows you the step by step guide to what you need to do to succeed, and get you a mentor that's obviously successful.
Yeah.
Not just like, yo, I flip houses. Like right now, I had a person I work with on my real job was like, yo, can you mentor me? I'm like, no, like, brother, I'm still learning. Like, I wouldn't even, nah, I'll put you, I'll
Right.
send you a person, right? Because I don't want to set you up a fake because there's a whole lot of shit that I still don't know,
Right.
right? That I'm still learning. So a mentor is going to be for me to, discipline and a mentor and money are the three tools you need. And I feel like anything in life, if you got them three, you can
Yeah,
make some
you can
shit.
make some
You know
shit.
what I'm saying? Yeah.
Absolutely,
Definitely.
man. Hey, look, one thing that you hit on I want to talk about is it's like partnership, right? Because in our community, um it's always like sometimes when we cooking up, like we got these
Talk about
ideas and we cooking up these ideas, like we got part of it, but we don't have the other part. And that happens a lot with when it comes to plans and things of that nature. And so like, can you just talk about how you feel about or your experience with partnerships and how it may have or how you feel about it, if it made it easier, if it's something that you would you would advocate for, or like just can you just talk about the partnership aspect of it?
yeah, it's I feel like it's situational. In all honesty, I was blessed enough to a point where with that flip, I didn't need a partner.
Right.
So that my situation is different. Me personally, when I'm learning something, when I'm doing something new, I want to have full control so I can have full responsibility for anything that goes wrong or south. You know what I mean? So I I didn't partner with anyone because one, I didn't need to. Two, I knew it was like I need if this is gonna fuck up, I need to fuck up on my own. If
Yeah.
more so than I need success on my own. That ain't, but I need if anything goes wrong, I need it I need to learn from it on my own. That's what's just gonna make me better at whatever it is I'm doing. But I will say, if I didn't have the cash or the credit, I would 100% say, hey, as long as you got an understanding with the individual or individuals that you're dealing with, partnership is beautiful. Like anybody else would tell you, just maybe have everything in writing. Like just make it as professional as possible, and move forward that way. So I'm not against it at all. Um, I've partnered on something since then. I've partnered on things prior to that flip where I was kind of like, as I said earlier, I just put up the bread and was like, hey, y'all do y'all thing.
Right.
Um, but I'm not against it. But like I said, I think on your first one, if you can go through it on your own, the learning experience would be much um, greater for you. You know what I mean?
Right.
So with that,
And I have to in my company, in our company, I have a partner who we've
okay.
started this company together. But even when we got to that point, I was like, yo, I need to do like, because I need to do
Yeah.
this one. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's something that you
Like
felt you
I
had.
need to do this, and it'll make it better for both of us. Down, you know what I mean? But
Yeah,
I
down the
needed,
line.
because I was just locked in. Finally, it was locked in.
Yeah, that's real, man. It's real.
Yeah,
So you have a real estate investment company, but both of you also do ventures on your own as well.
absolutely. Yeah, yeah.
So with that home, that was your first one. Like, how did you go about choosing that property?
So, great question, because this is a very important part. The most important part, I would say, of the process is finding the quote unquote right home. So, there's something called driving for dollars. You may have heard it through some YouTube videos where you drive around neighborhoods looking for houses that look like they need to be fixed up. I did that. I did door hangers, like ordering door hangers, put them on houses that look like they need to be. I sent mailers out, like mail letters to people. So I've done every one of those. What found this particular home was I found a guy on Instagram named Eric Klein. He's a wholesaler. And I'm sure so he does wholesale real estate. Um, and he has a program where he has a call center that'll call people, homeowners, and provide leads for people that are looking to wholesale those properties. So
Mm,
I knew I wasn't trying to wholesale at all. So what I did was I said I'll just do that process, and instead of getting those homes and trying to wholesale them, I'll just buy those homes if I find one that I like, right?
yeah.
So I did that. Um, I bought the leads from a skip trace company. So you buy the leads. I submit the leads to Eric Klein. He has callers that call them on a Excel spreadsheet every day. They update all the people they talk to, right? So the leads. So I would call them and say, "Hey, da 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 da, looking to sell your house. Go look at it. Cool. Nah, that's not one. Da 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 da. Nah, that's not the one. Finally found one and went and looked at the house. Um, the lady was like, "We want this amount." And so then you got to negotiate. And I want to do this amount. And so what happened was I saw the property, came back, called her, tried to negotiate the price, and she wasn't with it. She's like, "Nah, I found another investor. Somebody else asked to buy it. We're gonna go with them." I knew she was lying, just off So what I did was I just sent her a long email and was like, "Hey, this is my first personal investment property. I grew up in this neighborhood. Um, I don't have that amount to give. I have this amount. I'm being honest with you. I'm trying to," and I just gave her this real life conversation through email, and she called me. And was like, "Hey, you got it. You, you can get it
Mm,
for that price."
Wow.
And like, I didn't sell her no lies. I didn't tell her no bullshit. I just told her like, "Hey, this is what's going on." And she was like, "Cool." And her and I had built a relationship. She happened to be a real estate agent, which I didn't know at first. But it was her house, her
mm.
family's house. So her and I built a relationship, which is helping me build in that field as well. So, um, to answer your question, finding a house, how I did it was, hey, buy leads, call. You don't have to go the call center route. I don't have the time to call people all day just because I have a full time job and three kids, so I don't have
Yeah.
the time to do. So I just I'm again like I said, I'm a fan of paying people for what they do, right? So um, pay the call center, have them call, get the leads, and then you call the people that they've already spoken to that are interested. You know, are interested in selling their property.
Right.
Yep.
Um.
That's good, man.
So with that being said, I think you pretty much gave us a good answer about some of the ways or the way that you just think that is the best way. So, um, what is your thought or what are your thoughts on the auction process?
So I'm gonna answer this question, telling you in advance. I don't know too much about that process, but from my understanding, you have to, and I could be wrong, has to be a cash. You can't use a lender. Yeah, it's a
Right.
cash transaction.
Hmm.
And most people that are getting into the real estate don't have those reserves to buy a house cash.
Right.
Unless there's a program that I'm not aware of, I think you gotta. I think at an auction, it has to be a cash purchase.
Okay. Yeah. For sure.
But again, like like my man said in the introduction, do your
Yeah. Do
research.
all your own research for sure, man. You know what I'm
I tell
saying?
people quick, man, I am a new investor, right? But I think it's good that people hear from new people because you need to hear you need to hear that those steps in that process. But definitely do your research. But I think you got to have a cash. I think it's a cash transaction.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that because that's why I wanted to bring you on for people who have been thinking about getting into real estate investing. Somebody that is new to it and can tell you about all the pitfalls that they went through and can break it down for you. That way you have a strong understanding of it before you get into it. So
Sure,
you get your capital right, your discipline is together. You learn the game, you learn as much as you can. If you can get a mentor, you get a mentor. You find a property. How do you go about finding contractors?
yeah. So a couple different ways. Same way you drive for dollars and you're looking for houses. If you drive around Newport News right now, or any city, but we in the news, if you drive around Newport News right now for 30 minutes, you're gonna pass a house where somebody's working on a house. There's gonna be a work van. There's gonna be something, and a house you pass that's gonna indicate they're fixing something in this home. You pull over and you holler at them. Hey, I'm an investor. I'm looking to get. I might need some work done. Da 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 da. And you get their contact information. That person that you see working on that house knows somebody that does everything. They know somebody for everything you need done. They know a plumber, they know an electrician, they know a flooring guy, they know a roofing person. They it's a net. They're connected. It's a network.
So you just
Um, or you go. What was that?
use networking.
Yeah, they network. They know because they give each other work, right? Um, or you go. Not that you go to one of the home improvement stores and you may see somebody in there buying lumber or buying paint for another job that they're doing. They're gonna have a hoodie on or a shirt on that say so and so contractor. Hey, can I get you? I'm looking to invest in some house. I got an investment property. Looking for some painters. That painter's gonna know an electrician. Who's gonna know a plumber? Who's gonna know? Everybody's gonna know somebody. So it's just a matter of when you see a person that's obviously doing contract work, you holler at them because they're double negative, but they're not gonna not provide you with their information, right? Because they looking for work just
Yeah,
like you looking for somebody to do the work.
Right.
got it. Okay,
Yeah.
that makes a lot of sense.
All right. So yeah, I mean, um, the boots on the ground thing and just being new to it, I think is something that is very important. Um, so being that you just went through the process of renovating your first crib and really just getting everything together for the first time, like what do you think are like some of the key points that you would take away from just the process of trying to flip it, getting it ready? Like what are some of the like the points of emphasis that you would say that you learned from doing your first one?
Well, the you want to make sure you have an understanding of how flipping works, right? Because a lot of people think you find a house that doesn't look that good, you put some money into it, you sell it for more. I mean, that's the general idea of it, but you have to, the deal's got to make sense. You have to make sure, ARVs after repair value, that the value of what the houses, the comps in the neighborhood are makes sense for the project that you're trying to do. Sometimes, and that's kind of what, back to the calling the owners that are trying to sell the houses. Some people are trying to sell a house for more than what it's worth for, and it needs work done. So the key thing is making sure the deal makes sense as far as your purchase price plus your um, repair cost, and then what's the value of the house afterwards. So if that doesn't line up, the lender's not going to give you the money,
Mm,
right?
Right.
So you want to kind of have an idea of that before even reaching out to a lender to save everybody time, right? Especially if it's your first investment and you don't have any type of relationship with this lender. They're just strictly going off of the fact that you say, yeah, I found a property. And yeah, they're gonna come out, evaluate the property. They're gonna have you submit comps. They're gonna run their own comps. And if the deal doesn't make sense, they're gonna tell you, no, we can't. So I feel you want to avoid that conversation as a whole by just doing your due diligence prior to bringing a lender into the picture, and just making sure the deal makes sense as far as, and it's strictly a numbers thing. If the numbers make sense, the lender don't care where their house is at. If the numbers make sense, you know what I mean. And that's key. It's just making sure the transaction, that the deal is going to make sense before you invest your money, especially if you new and it's all you got saved up, and you want to just make sure everything aligns properly.
Right.
got it.
And those are all things you learn through, like I said, you learn these things on the internet, but they're broken down and explained to you thoroughly when you have a mentor or somebody that's there, like hands on, telling you, hey, this is this, this is this, this is this. It just makes the process a lot easier,
Right.
efficient, not
So
easier.
that's a good word, efficient. Um, once you got the property, once you got it renovated and everything, refurbished, like what's you got to get it inspected, right? Like what's the inspection process like?
Yeah. So once you get to that point of the project, you are dealing with a realtor already. So the agent's gonna, in my situation, the agent handled everything with as far as setting the inspection up. But that process is an inspector comes out, does the inspection, and lets you know, hey, what needs to be fixed and what has to be fixed before um, the property is sold. Usually, the person doing the inspection is. I'm trying to make sure I say this properly. Is No, that's the appraiser. I'm sorry. Yeah, they're gonna come out before the house is sold and make sure that everything is everything.
Okay. So with the listing agent, do you work with the same listing agent on every property, or is that somebody that you know you just happen to meet or whatever?
So my situation worked out perfectly for my listing agent and my stager. Um, I got both of their information from my mentor.
Okay.
So again, it's another one of those positives of having somebody that
Right.
is involved and is obviously already making moves and doing things, because it was just an easier process to say, hey, here's my mentee, here's his property. So I went through them for the staging. I went through them for the as my listing agent as well.
So get a mentor. Whatever you doing is key.
Really, at the end of the, I mean, bro, and again, I can only speak for what worked for me, because I know people that personally are like, yo, I'll never pay somebody to get information that I can get online. And I'm like, hey, cool. Um, I'm different, and if I see a person, if I've tried to study something myself and tried to figure it out on my own, and I haven't broken through, and I see a person who's clearly um doing well in that field, in that industry, I'm gonna pay them for their knowledge. People pay hundreds of thousands of dollars to go to college and never use their degree. Like I know I'm gonna use this information once I receive it. You know what I mean? Um,
Yeah,
yeah, and
facts.
you build a relationship. You build a relationship. So absolutely, I recommend everybody, and this just get a mentor or seek mentorship somehow. Um, my opinion.
Right.
Facts.
Yeah, man. Definitely the networking part is definitely, I know, for is important that that for people to have. Is like you want to be able to find these people. A lot of people that starting from scratch, or they got an interest in something, but they don't know the ins and outs. Like, how would you go about building a network, or just um talking to people and making sure, or getting a firm understanding about uh how the contracting process works. We know we talked about the mentorship and how important that is, but like, how would somebody go about reaching out to a mentor, or trying to find that connection to help them get the process started?
Yeah. Well, first, I mean, the first thing I would say as far as how to meet people, go to these events. Like there's real estate events all the time or networking events. You
Right.
go to a networking event, there's gonna be somebody there involved in real estate. I mean, you know what I mean. Even if it ain't a real estate event, but go to the real estate event and don't be too cool. A lot of times people that's what gets in a lot of people's ways. They don't want to go talk to that guy because why would I talk to him when just don't be cool. Don't be too cool and go to these events and just introduce yourself to people. For me, that's worked for me. I don't go anywhere without a physical business card. Nobody carries business cards anymore for the most part. It's all tap, it's all electronic, which is cool. But it's like, hey, if I go to a networking event and it's 100 people there, and I'm one of the only people with a business card, the chances of that person pulling my card out later that evening versus going and finding my social media like the other 80 people that get. So that as far as mentor go, I'm gonna tell y'all right now. I'm looking it up. I'm about to give you his exact. Yeah, my mentor is Antonio Royal. Instagram Tone Royal underscore. Um, if you in this area, you've heard of Tone. You've seen Tone's work. You know who he is. Um, I highly recommend his mentorship program. As far as my realtor that I use, Carolyn the realtor. If you same thing. If you're in the area, you've seen her work before. And then Tone's mom actually did my staging, Antoinette Royal, right? So um, I highly recommend the mentorship. I would recommend reaching out to Tone, and then once you in that program, anything else you need, he's in contact with someone that's gonna get you to where you need to be.
Right.
That's what makes it all worth it. It's not like you just paying to get some information. You paying, but you get information. You also networking amongst these people, and now you can build a relationship with them on your own, and then grow as well.
Right.
Man, that's those are gems, man. So it sounds like you keeping it circulating, in your circle. So that's good. I love to hear that, and you get to network with these other people that your mentor has introduced you to. You know what I'm saying?
For sure.
Um, Going back to the business card thing, man. I just went off up in my pocket right now. This is a business card right here. I carry this with me every day. It's in my pocket. This is a realtor that I met. I was appraising her car one day, and she's a realtor in the DMV, and she was telling me about how she can help me get into real estate, how she can give me discounts on the exams, all type of stuff. Gave me a bunch of information. So when I'm ready to take that leap, I'm gonna go ahead and call her or
For
email her
sure.
or whatever and tap in. Business cards are important, man, for real. And another thing you
Yeah,
said about just to backtrack, you said don't be too cool. You absolutely right, man. Being too cool holds people back from what ultimately what they are capable of. It limits them. I think
for
we were
sure.
talking about this past for like what, a year or two?
Yeah, man, for sure.
I'm saying. Yeah. So if it's something you want to do, obviously you want to do your due diligence before you just jump into it. But you definitely don't want to be too cool to put yourself out there.
Sure.
Yeah, man, that's those are gems, man. That's very valuable. That's something that I think we all need to put a real emphasis on because it's so many missed opportunities that we have because we just don't want to talk to this person or we just don't want to, we feel like we just got too much pride to say or ask questions or just
Sure.
be in a position to, or too proud sometimes to even pay somebody. They have like somebody that's being successful, somebody that's moving and doing something, and you just be too prideful to say, hey man, let me just get, if I pay you, for the little bit of time that it might be worth just because you feel like you are on the same or equal playing field with that person or this person and you just don't feel like you should have to pay it. It's like, you know, the pride will get in the way, man. It'll get in the way from you being able to make the proper progress that we need because like you can't nobody can do everything on their own. Like nobody it can't be
Sure.
a self-driven thing, man. You're gonna need people to execute any type of plan, and like that's real. That's something that we really, as a community, I think we just need to really get a hold of, man. Because like that's not the way it works in other communities.
Nah, for sure. And the biggest thing with that is we'll say, nah, I ain't paying so and so, but then we'll go pay so and so
Right,
for the same information. And it's like, bro, like you could have kept it in the, you know, in the culture, in the community, and help that man or that young lady grow.
right.
Um, but yeah, no, I totally agree.
Man, gems. Um, so the current state of the real estate market right now, has the interest rates affected it? Like as far as your process?
Um, I can't say it has, and like I said, I'm one flip in, and my
Mm-hmm.
flip just happened to go quick. Um, you know what I mean? But I would assume that, with interest rates, when people say, "What's the best time to buy a house?" Right? And again, this next statement is my personal opinion. If the interest rates are high and you buy a house, the price is going to be what the price is. If the rates drop, the value of the house is probably going to houses are going to go up. So then you can refinance if they drop, right? So I don't think there's a bad time to buy a house if you can afford it and you need a house, because there's always going to be an option. If the rates drop, you refinance. You still got the house
Man,
that you want. You just go
right.
get it later at a later time.
Yeah, man, that's tough,
Yeah.
man. That's definitely a jewel right there. You know what I'm saying? That you can always get access to some of that money, man. Um, so would you how important would you say is like you know I guess finding the you guys said something about they got to make the deal. You just want to make sure that the deal makes sense. Like, can you talk about the process of how going about making sure that the numbers make mathematical sense. Therefore, you can know exactly what you're looking at. Like, what does that process look like?
For sure. So, obviously, the first step is finding a house. You find a house in the neighborhood. Let's say I'll use my house. I'll use the one we just flipped for an example. So it was a 3 bed, 2 bath. Um, 3 bed, 2 bath. I want to say 1,700 square feet. So you find a house. You take the everything I just gave you, you run that as your comps. So you have a real estate agent run the comps, meaning they're gonna find houses that are somewhat identical in the certain vicinity and what the average cost of those homes are, right?
Right.
So then they're gonna come up with what's called an ARV, after repair value, right? So with
Mm,
that, when you take your purchase price of the house and the renovation cost, most lenders are going to require you, my lender, I can't speak for most, the lender I use is going to require you to be at 70% of that ARV, average retail value. So just for quick purposes, math purposes, let me see here. So ARV was three. Um, ARV was 325. So the ARV for my house was 325. So with that with that lender, I needed to be at 227.5 total for purchase price and renovations for the deal to make sense. Because
Right.
70% of that 325 was 227.5. So I needed to be there for the deal to make sense. Sometimes again, it just depends on how long you've been working with that lender. If somebody's done 20 flips and there's a house that's a little, there's a possibility they may still rock with you because they know your history as far as with what you've done. But most lenders starting off are gonna have a 70% of the ARV. So you just got to make sure those numbers line up. And again, as eager as it may seem to just want to go ahead and get into a flip and try it, you want to make sure the numbers line up because you don't want your flip to cost you money.
Right.
Um, you know what I mean? You don't want to, I don't say lose, but you just don't want it to cost you more than it has to, or cut into your profit more than it needs to.
Yeah, that's a gem right there, man. I'm glad you got
That's
that. That was
super valuable
right.
information for sure, man. Hey, bro, you've been giving us a lot of valuable information today. Um, what are you like? What are you working on right now? You got a second property you working on, or
Yeah. So for in this, so that's the other thing. That first one came, it was smooth, it was beautiful. I was like, oh, we about to jump into two, three more, and it just like and so and that's I'm
yeah,
kind of as crazy as it sound, I'm kind of glad that happened. Not glad that happened, but it needed to happen. You know what I'm saying? Sooner, because my first flip was was I hate the word easy, was more of a breeze than most first flips, right?
Right.
I got blessed with my first flip, so I'm thinking, oh, this is next one, bam, bam, and it's been like ghost town. I've been following the same process. You know what I mean? I've been doing the same thing, calling leads, door hangers, mail. And so, you get to a point where you're like, man, did I just get lucky? Is this really what and then I got that reassurance from someone who's like, hey man, you don't want to jump into a bad deal. So it's better that it take longer for that next deal to come than you to just jump into something. Um, so right now, literally what's today? Sunday? Thursday, a couple of days ago, finally found another property. Um, so I'm in that phase of getting the lender to come out next week to make sure everything makes sense. And then we'll be right into number two. Another, next for me is also just tackling my real estate license, man. My goal in the next 6 years, I'm 34, so about 40. My goal is to be full time real estate, whether agent, investor, flipper, landlord, just full time real estate in the next 6 years.
I'm with you,
Yeah,
bro.
man.
I'm working on that now. Got trying to go from cars to houses.
Yeah.
That's great, man. Hey, look, one thing for sure, I definitely appreciate. I'm glad that this turned out like this, and that you was the first guest, man, because like you really gave us some invaluable information, man, about the real estate game, and I wish you nothing but the most success.
Appreciate it. Likewise, man. Same to y'all, man.
Yes, sir. And you got two of my three favorite rappers ever behind you. I can't
Who
say
your
tell you
third?
what that means. Oh, Pimp C.
Okay. I thought you was about to say my man. Yeah.
Oh shit.
Yeah,
Nah, I mean,
yeah.
I definitely
I had
love
to
Puff.
get rid of one of my favorite rappers, man.
Who?
I don't want to say his name, man.
Oh, I know who. I know who. I'm not gonna say his name either,
Yeah,
man.
man.
Hey man, he need to
You
get some.
already know how I was with the boy, with bro, man, back in
Yeah,
the day.
I
Like,
do remember, man. Hey man, I don't know what to say about him. Let's just leave it at that, man.
yeah, for sure. For sure.
Yeah,
Shoot.
man.
Hey, hey man, you got anything else you want to add, Zaya?
Nah, well, first, man, thank y'all. I didn't know I was the first guest, so that's dope. I appreciate y'all and having me on your platform. Now I just say, if anybody that's looking to get into real estate, definitely do it. Just like I said, do your due diligence and make sure you do it properly. It ain't gonna be easy. It ain't gonna be. It's not gonna be cheap. It's gonna be expensive. It's gonna be not even just expensive as far as money. It's gonna take a lot of your time. Like I was at this crib every day for 90, with the exception of probably 8 days when I was on vacation. Right, every other day I was at the house, and so you got kids, a wife, family, activities. Like it takes you got to give it your all because when you got all your money invested into it, you want to you gotta you want to be there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
for sure.
I would advise anybody if you got that interest, man, just do it, jump. You know what I mean? Um, make it a learning process throughout the whole process. Um, learn from them because you're gonna make mistakes. You're gonna have some couple fuck ups here and there. Learn from it and just learn how to capitalize on it the next time. But definitely, if you're interested in it, do it, man. It's a great business and it's fun.
Hey,
that's what it
man,
is, man.
appreciate you. Yeah, man. Inspire the youth.
Hey, we gotta
Episode
get it.
7.
Hey, let me cut you off. You got the book of the week.
Yeah, man. I was just about to get into it, man. I was just about to get into it. The book of the day is a book that I didn't know that I was gonna like. It kind of felt like a cheesy, book, but it's called A Purpose Driven Life right here. You know what I'm saying? By Rick Warren. And
Hmm.
I think I got the recommendation from like I think Oprah was on when this was popping or something like that. But like, I'm thinking like, yeah, this probably gonna be one of those cheesy mindset books. But really, honestly, man, this really it was a powerful book for real. Like it's one of the best books that I ever read, and it's like it's definitely for somebody who is like they feel like they on their journey, but sometimes we get so lost in like kids and work and wherever else our time gets spent. So just divvying out responsibilities everywhere when you become an adult. It's like a lot of times we stop thinking about our purpose and attending to our purpose and just trying to find it and understanding it. But it's real powerful from a spiritual perspective about your purpose and about God's purpose for us while we're here and trying to find the connection and trying to make both of those things line up. And so yeah, man, if you can read it, if you ever got time, man, The Purpose Driven Life is really, really, really powerful book, you know what I'm saying, for
Can I
people.
recommend the book?
Yeah, for
Yeah, man. Go
sure.
ahead.
It's in the book of the. Oh, while we talking about books, it's funny. I didn't realize I had this down here. Before I got into real estate, I wrote my own book, but I took that off
Manage your
because
mindset.
I ain't even. Yeah. But I recommend this
Hey.
book to every black man in the world, man. Every
Oh
black
man, that's a classic. I was gonna drop that
black
one
man
too,
in the
man.
world.
Oh my God, bro. That's
The
how
book,
you
man.
know. Look, that's how you
Read
know
it.
how solid a dude is, cause you see Nip and you got Hove in the background, and then he pull up the message
Yeah,
to the black man. Like that's how you know,
yeah,
man, the company you keep, man. Yo, for real. That's the real
Absolutely.
right there, man, for sure.
Absolutely.
yeah, man. And I'm gonna keep it real, bro. I wanted to make Manager Mindset the book of the week, but I moved recently, and I got a bunch of stuff that's still like packed up. I got a bunch of books, man, and I was not
Right,
able to
right.
find it, man. But I still got it though. So
My man. I forget yo,
still
I
got.
forget often that I wrote a book. No bullshit. Like because again, that was just one of them things where I thought that's what I wanted to do, and I was like, nah. But until I went to pull Message of the Black Man up, and I seen the manager mindset down, I was like, oh shit,
Yeah,
let me shout this out. Yeah,
yeah, that's
Yeah,
hard.
that's
man.
appreciate y'all brothers, man.
Yeah, man, definitely,
Hey,
man. Appreciate you, man, for coming on, dropping jewels for us, man, and just giving us the game, man. Like that's,
No doubt,
this is one of our best episodes so far, man. Flipping houses, episode 7, man. Smart to
man.
you,
yeah, man. Zaiah Burke, man. We out, man.
yes,
Appreciate it.
sir.
My man, bless.